Good evening, little birds. I'm Caspian Crow. Tonight, the storms have once again brought us indoors to our own little hearth. And so, tonight we bring you a special indoor version of Campfire Stories. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of good fortune must be in want of a wife. Jane Austen wrote that, but I don't think she wrote it about this particular man. Long ago, there was a man named Jack. Jack was not a man possessed of good fortune. In fact, he was a man possessed of very little fortune at all. Nevertheless, he was in want of a wife, and he searched high and low across the land, never could find one, until he beheld her. Her name was Beatrice, and she was a rare beauty, with skin as pale as porcelain, and golden hair that fell down her shoulders in waves that looked like sunset. And, more importantly to Jack, she was rich, extremely wealthy. Not only that, but she had an arm that was crafted of pure gold. Jack married her immediately, and for a long time they were quite happy. But eventually, Jack grew to covet that golden arm, and a dark desire wormed its way into his heart. He grew to covet that golden arm more than her possessions, more than his own possessions, more even than her, his own wife. Still, he kept it to himself over many more years. Eventually, as so often happened, Beatrice fell ill and died. Jack put on his blackest clothing. He put on his saddest face, and he mourned with their friends and family the death of his beautiful Beatrice. But that night, he snuck back into the cemetery, his spade in hand. He sought out her grave, and he began to dig and dig. The earth was still loose from the freshly dug grave, but it still took him late into the night. But he was fueled by that desire for her arm, and so he continued to work until finally he unearthed her coffin and pried open the lid. She was, still pale and lovely, as though she were merely sleeping. But that golden arm, oh, it shone in the moonlight. And without a second thought, Jack grabbed Beatrice's golden arm and began to pull and twist and wrench until finally it sprung free. He put that arm away in his satchel, scrambled out of the grave, and hurriedly restored it to its former state. Then, carefully, quietly, he snuck out of the cemetery and back to his home. Now, not wanting to arouse suspicion, he kept the arm hidden away for several days. And on the third evening, as he was getting ready to go to bed, still confident that he would not be caught, that he would grow wealthy and fat on the riches provided by that arm, he began to lay down in bed when suddenly he heard a strange noise. The sound of careful, measured footsteps coming up the stairs. And knowing that he was the only one in the house, he began to panic. But before he could react, before he could make any motion, the door swung open, and standing there in the doorway was none other than his wife, Beatrice. Her cheeks sunken, her lips withered away, empty eye sockets staring at him, and from her right shoulder, a stump where her golden arm should have been. Not wanting to appear afraid or suspicious, Jack looked at his spectral wife Beatrice and said, "My dear, it's good to see you. What has happened to your rosy cheeks?" Beatrice looked at him through those empty eye sockets and said, "All withered and wasted away." And Jack said, "Oh, and where are your rosy red lips?" And once again, she said, "All withered and wasted away." And Jack was feeling more panic rising from his chest into his throat, and he said, "And where is your golden hair that once hung so lovely down your shoulders?" And once again, "All withered and wasted away." And unable to help himself, Jack said, "And where is your golden arm?" The spirit tilted her head and said, "You have it!" and lunged at him. The next morning, the housekeeper entered the main home, went up to the bedroom, and found her master, Jack, lying on the bed, eyes fixed at the ceiling, cold and unmoving as was the rest of him. And around his throat was clutched that golden arm. Well, Jack certainly learned a valuable lesson that he took to his grave, didn't he? Thank you for joining me at our little hearth, little birds. Once again, I am Caspian Crow, and I bid you good night, man.